administrative issues where Minister Bathabile Dlamini is actually addressing the press. Let's cross live to it.
A non-racial, non-sexist organization. As we come out of the 54th conference of our movement, we are not thinking about the elite women, those that are already in the decision-making bodies, those that are already CEOs. We are thinking about an ordinary woman who is faced with poverty, an ordinary woman who does not have access to water, an ordinary woman who has a child that cannot go to a tertiary institution, an ordinary woman who is a farm worker or a domestic worker who cannot be able to pay fees for her children. We are talking of an ordinary woman who is faced by multi-dimensional poverty, which is also linked to unemployment, who is also linked to education and the issues of inequality. What then does this outcome mean to an ordinary girl from Mutu, Mkandule, Nguyeshe? In the 105 years of the ANC as an organization and a leader of society, we feel the ANC has failed the women of South Africa. The ANC believes strongly in non-sexism, and therefore this is a principle that was put into action by President Oliver Tambo, who we are celebrating this year. President Oliver Tambo formed a commission on the emancipation of women, and he served in that committee, but also he ensured that women were represented in decision-making bodies, and also he had a confidence in women. Now, we have to express our disappointment as members of the ANC, because we are members of the ANC before we are members of the ANC Women's League. The Women's League is at the center of bringing hope to women of South Africa, and we think that we've been able to drive the struggle for women's emancipation. We also want to take this opportunity and say we fought a good fight, and the struggle for the emancipation of women must continue. The ANC must take a decision on how women are going to be affirmed. This was a history in making for women in the ANC. For the first time, we had a female on the ballot paper for a presidential candidate. The fight continues, with women united and dealing with the issues that unite them. And our common goal should be fighting and defeating patriarchy and sexism and the marginalization of women. The ANC indeed has regressed on the issue of women. In 2017, as we celebrate the life of O.R. Tambo, who championed the struggles of the emancipation of women, we cannot be proud of this outcome. Patriarchy has once again reared its ugly head. Comrade Jessie Duarte made it to the top 6, and we are proud of her because we know her track record. He is one of the senior women in the ANC that are tried and tested, that are actually senior to some of our male comrades. But also, we want to say Comrade Jessie was able to make it because she stood with another woman. If she was standing with a male, she would have gone under the bus. And we would be sitting with an all-male top 6. And Comrade Oliver Tambo must be turning in his grave. And there is no doubt about that. The struggle to put a woman president was never going to be easy, and we knew from the word go. It was never easy when we gained our freedom. And starting from Codesa, there was a fight, and women had to come together, and we had to form a coalition. And again, the first conference of the ANC in Durban, we had to fight for 30%. And 50-50 did not come up as a gift to women. We came up with a 50-50 so as to ensure that we are not taken for granted. And we are convinced that the principle of 50-50 remains very relevant and at the core of the representation of women. Because women, if women of the stature of a Comrade Nkosazana, of Comrade Maite, of even a Comrade Elindi Sisulu, cannot be elected into the officials, it means a lot of work has to be done in the ANC that has a membership of more than 60% women. And we've seen this in the numbers of the membership of the ANC. We are a majority in the ANC and in the society, and we cannot celebrate an outcome that undermines the power of the women in the ANC. This is an attack on the gains of women's struggles, and that of 23 years into our democracy. We have been dealt a blow. We want to call on all women to stand together. We understand that as women, we are not homogeneous. And we are still going to give an analysis of this campaign. But right now, we feel that men that were in the campaign that had the face of a woman made it to the officials. But that woman and her stature was not voted into the officials. Let us also thank Comrade Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma for selflessly availing herself. She was insulted, her credentials were trampled upon and reduced to being an ex-wife. It could not have been easy for her and her children, but she understood that this was not about her, but the continuation of the struggles of women to get into leadership positions so that we can change the quality of lives of ordinary women and the girl child. With all our hearts, we want to thank her. We want to thank the NEC of the ANC Women's League, the young women in the Women's League, our supporters, and ordinary women of South Africa. And we want to say to them, the struggle continues.
Thank you very much, President. We will then now take